Day 2 of NBA Summer League action is upon us. I got Kurt with me again. We didn't know if we'd do a part 2 or a second NBA show, but we got to, man. The views were good, the content seemed nice, and hopefully we can provide winners yet again. Kurt, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. You hit me up, and as soon as we got the salaries drop, I've been waiting for these full game slates. We had to come on for the emergency stream. Let's get it going.
Oh man, let's get going. As soon as you told me the Knicks were underpriced, I looked at the slate, I smiled, and I said we have to get on here, man. That's what we talked about in our Summer League preview pod. We got these teams now. We got Charlotte, Indiana. We got, man, we loved Golden State and New York teams too. Like, we got a lot to like here. I can't wait to get started. And why waste any further time, Kurt? Let's go ahead and dive into this first game. The Charlotte side of the ball, we got LJ Figueroa, a guy you mentioned on the preview that we kind of liked. We liked him a lot last year, especially when he was playing for the Mavericks. He was playing good ball and really did a little bit of everything. We got Kai Jones, who was a monster on the glass. Like, what are you thinking with Charlotte here?
So with Charlotte, I just have two guys that I'm interested in because I think the people are overpriced. So as far as guys, I'm going to be my player pool, or is Tyshawn Alexander, who's 4K. I was going back, he did screw me a little bit last year, but I was going back and look at the stats. It's he wasn't bad. He would just not have ceiling games for me. So he still did decent for me. So Tyshawn and LJ Fig are the only guys for Charlotte I have interest in for now until starters come out. This game is not my favorite, so I don't see a point in why you would kind of go after it. But as always, it's the first game that has starters, and starters is the most safe. So I understand if you want to get a little bit of action there if we get starters.
That's the big thing too. News is going to be critical, as we mentioned. We're going to cover the news up the lock. Obviously, we can't predict the news even 16 hours from now in Summer League. It's a tough process, but we got you covered in the Discord. And same with the early slate too. We're going to be covering the content all the time. But like you said, without starters, it's tough to predict. But we know that the starters in this first game are going to be available to us. We don't know that by game 5. So it'll be interesting to see what Charlotte runs out there. But obviously, Tyshawn Alexander, that's a guard at play here. That's a cheap guard that we can use, which is different than the 2-game slate we just experienced. But I will say, we saw these centers like Kai Jones and like Omer Yurtseven last year. They can put up big scores. You don't really have any interest in the Charlotte big men here right now?
Let me get back. He's what, 8,600 for Kai Jones?
Yeah, it's expensive. It's an expensive tag for sure.
And Mark Williams, I wasn't playing 9-3 for Mark Williams in college. And now I'm going to pay 9-3 for him in a summer league with less minutes? Same amount of minutes, but less. No, I'm not paying 8-6 for Kai Jones. His ceiling's going to be 35 here. And that's his ceiling. That's his absolute ceiling. So, they just priced him right. I mean, I'm sorry. Scotty Lewis being 7,300 is also what is happening?
I hear that.
Brady Manick. I got an interest in Brady Manick.
Really? Brady Manick over a guy like JT Thor?
Yeah, because Brady Manick can make 5 threes like that.
I think he's soft. I don't know. Actually, he did play with the national championship game.
Now, Thor can actually shoot too, but I don't know. Manick just feels like one of those guys who's a white dude who's I'm gonna go out and go hard for summer league. But no, Thor, he's not gonna be my pool, but I totally get it if you want to play Thor. I love him in college, and he's 4,400. And he can also shoot a little bit, and he can board. Don't mind it.
Well, I remember playing him last year in a summer league game, and he kind of did real well, and especially in limited minutes. I think we can predict that for the Hornets side of things, that the minutes might be shaky.
I'm pretty sure Thor helped me win my Showdown Bink last year, so I can't. Maybe I got. I'm throwing him in the pool. He helped me get. I'm pretty sure I solo shipped that one, so I'm playing Thor now. Screw it.
You got to at 4-4. Now let's move on to the Indiana Pacers. So with Wiseman out, Benedict Mathurin will be the most expensive player on the slate. And we also get our guy, Terry Taylor, at an incredibly cheap tag of 4-2. It remains to be seen what the Pacers will be completely doing for the Summer League in terms of their rotation. But there's some appetizing plays, especially in the cheap range. And you even have the expensive guards too at play. What are you thinking here?
I love Benny. I can't pay that. I'm sorry. I can't pay that for Nimhard. I feel like they're also eating into each other. It's even worse with the pricing. I'm not paying that. I want to see what they do with Chris Duarte. It's kind of like the Detroit situation. Is he there just for practice? So if Chris plays, I'm definitely going to play him. Same thing with Jackson. If both those guys play, I'm going to play him. But I don't know if they are. If Duarte doesn't play, then Dwayne Washington does play. Love Dwayne Washington. Gotta love Dwayne Washington. And Terry Taylor, cheap. That's all I have for this one. And it's it's really depending on what we're going to get out of Duarte and Jackson. If both are starting, they're going to eat up a lot of usage.
And that's the thing, as we know, the summer league. This is a chance the vets kind of play one game, maybe two games, and not to mention like Duarte's not a huge vet. Like he's only been in the league one season. He's going into his second year. It could be very plausible that he gets extensive burn here, and he's going to be the most talented player, arguably on the court, and like or the most polished player at the very least. So I kind of like that kind of shout there too. I don't see a whole lot of people attacking this game early, and he's a great player. And Dwayne Washington, same way. He balled out a little bit. I know he was on a bad Pacers team, but he had a stable role off the bench and was actually pretty good as a starter too. He definitely has a spot in the league, and he's going to prove it. Under 6K, I mean, if he starts, you got to love it. And, you mentioned Terry Taylor in the preview and stuff. I mean, if he's starting, are you going to have him?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Actually, the first build I have has Terry Taylor. I do want to mention Nate Hinton had some great games for the Mavs last year. I keep saying that. I feel like the Mavs were so good to us last year. They legit had 5 guys who would get like 25 fantasy points every game. Nate Hinton was one of those guys. I don't see how you can play him if Duarte and Washington are in because you just don't know how much his usage is going to be. But he's 4-4. So it's like, does it really matter?
You're right. I mean, off the bench. I mean, this is where I like talking with you because you are not afraid to play anyone off the bench. Sometimes you even prefer them off the bench, and especially in summer league when you can get them incredibly low and like in the 1%, 2% range. I mean, I always dig it. I always like the shout. But moving forward, on to Brooklyn. I mentioned this was my favorite team coming into the summer league. Cam Thomas, Kessler Edwards, Deron Sharp. I mean, goodness, the list goes on and on. I'm thrilled with this team, but how much are they going to eat into each other? How much run do they get? Do you know?
I definitely think the first game we're going to see full run. So obviously Cam Thomas was in my first build, leading scorer in summer league. Who knows that he might be looking at a completely different team next year where he have to do a lot more. So it's curious to see what they do with him later on because there could be a trade done by that time. But I think for the first game, we're going to see full Cam Thomas, Ham Thomas, Kessler Edwards. You're going to see tomorrow as I was building. Small forward it's kind of tricky tomorrow. As it seems like today we had all kinds of guys we can play, but it makes Kessler Edwards even stronger play because he has a great floor. Definitely doesn't have the ceiling of Thomas, but I'm going to play both. Let's see, David Duke and Sharp. Like, I have no problem mixing and matching 2 of these 4 Brooklyn guys in every line. Duke should have been listed as a small forward. He should have been small forward eligible. He's not. It kind of hurt my first build. Sharp, like I said, you can mix and match these 4 guys.
I love it. I mean, I'm with you. I think Cam Thomas, he's kind of like getting this little buzz around him. Like, oh, he's ready for summer league. He's ready for this. I love hearing that about a guy. I love a guy who's excited to play in the summer league. I think a lot of these guys are excited, all these good players, because they know it's their time to shine. They get a national stage. They get an ESPN game. They get like a fun in Las Vegas for a week. Like, it's pretty fun to see. And I think Cam Thomas is going to fill that bill incredibly. And like you said, Kessler Edwards, he was an NBA. He played in the playoffs. So it was part of that Nets rotation that got swept. But there's talent here, not to mention like I love my big men in summer league. I want to play 2 centers pretty much as much as I can because of the floors. The rebounding floors are just incredible. And I tend to think there's more blocks in summer league. I don't have the numbers in front of me to prove that. But a guy like Sharp, who I know he has insane athletic ability, he's going to be one of my guys. I will mention, like you mentioned, small forward's bad. Luckily we have Terry Taylor at forward too there, who's small forward eligible for some reason. Shooting guard, small forward. Who would have thought? So the positions are all over the place. But like you said, Duke should have definitely been small forward eligible. But another NBA talent there. Anyone else on the Nets that you want to mention? Not
yet. We'll see what they do. Like I said, we talk about the guys who I would mention. We talk about in the preview. Go back and watch that, and you can kind of see it's on Spotify.
Love it. And here is a Bucks team that you even mentioned to me before, like, we went live and stuff. Man, we went through the preview, and I didn't notice Hugo Besson. You didn't notice Hugo Besson. You didn't know Marjon Beauchamp. I didn't know Marjon Beauchamp like all that well. I mean, obviously we knew, like, oh yeah, these guys here. But then 8.3 and 9K price tags. Holy cow, that's kind of high. What's your thoughts on them?
The thing is, like, if you want to go. I mean, obviously this guy is not Josh Giddey, but if you want to make the comparison, like Hugo he's from the Australian League. He performed well. Look at his stats over there. It was decent. But like even at 9K, like Josh Giddey had a great summer league last year. I'm not sure I'm not going to go out and sprint to play 9K Giddey in his first summer league game. So it's like, and now this guy there's definitely not a chance that he's as good as Josh Giddey if we're going by like statistics. There's no chance. Like it's very like Josh Giddey's really good. I was just trying to watch him, so I'm kind of biased. But I wouldn't pay $9K for him. And same thing with the other guy in the French league. Like they just, if you'll notice this, all these guys, all these Europeans, they just said screw it and price them all up. Like it doesn't even give us a chance to get edge by going and watching their highlights because they price them out to where there's no point in taking the risk. So don't.
Yeah, and even looking at like Marjan Buchamp's G League stats there, he played 21 games. You know, he did okay. He did like a 16, 6, and 2, and that's not the worst thing, but 8K for him is a fringe talent that we know. I mean, the 24th pick in the draft, there's going to be guys who are probably hungrier and ready to eat. We'll move on to like the shorter end of these guys because I know we talked about him, but Luca Vildoza, our point god. I know you're going to be thrilled by him. Go ahead and take the floor on Luca Vildoza.
If he starts, I have interest, like a lot of interest, because I think this Milwaukee team will be looking for a kind of guy to like be the playmaker. And so if Luka starts, if not, Luka's one of the guys who he will not even be in my player pool if he doesn't start because there's a chance he gets like 8 minutes randomly. Rajon Tucker, I want to make a comparison. You guys remember last year when Jordan Nwora was like the guy that Milwaukee's like, we want to get a good look at him. We want him to do this, this, and this. He was already in the rotation a little bit. That's kind of that's a poor man's Rajon Tucker's a poor man's Jordan Nwora from last year. He was kind of in the rotation. They want to get a good look at him. A poor man's version of that. I think that he'll be doing some different things, trying to get some different works at not so much playmaking, but just a little bit of everything. So Rajon Tucker, I definitely have interest. And Sandro's too cheap as well. I mean, 4.3, like same thing with Garza. Like, what are we doing?
That Sandro price and the power forward eligibility at 4.3. Holy cow. Sandro Mamu Kelashvili. I suck at pronouncing names, but that price is a slap in the face to him.
Yeah.
So I know we didn't have to talk, but let's mention him real fast. We both love him. We both love Sandro Mamu. And he tore up, the summer league last year when he was actually in. Those minutes are probably going to be very decent. And a 4.3 tag, that's your value, especially a power forward spot instead of a center spot. For me, that's gold. Anyone else you want to mention on the Bucks, or do you want to move on to Golden State?
There was a couple guys that might make my pool. Hernandez, the big man, he's 4K. We like centers. He's a guy who can get 8 and 8, so he'll be in the pool. He'll be very low exposed, but if he starts, I'm gonna have him in the pool. Cheatham, another big man who went off, had a great game for Denver last year. I mean, 2 great games. He was tilting my face off because I did not like him in college. But if he starts, he's in the pool as well for 4,400. Another power forward guy, and that's it for these guys.
Perfect. Let's move on to Golden State. So Wiseman won't play, right? Kuminga won't play. Is that correct?
No, I think Kuminga is going to play.
Oh, he is. Okay, so that'll change things.
He's not playing until the summer league. They're keeping him ready for Vegas.
Okay, bet. Then talk to me about Golden State. Talk to me about their plan and what you're interested in.
I wish Moody was small forward eligible. That really irks me. But Moody and Kuminga, smash plays, man. Like you can't go wrong with either of them. Having one in your lineup would kind of be smart. My first one didn't, but it's just because I don't really know for certain what's going on yet. But if you were told me now that Moody and Kuminga start, I'll definitely want one of them. Definitely want Kuminga. I don't 9-6. I'll make it work. I don't care. There was a couple others. Who was it? Even if we get news, like Weatherspoon's 4.2, he's been solid in summer league. I have no issue going there, even if the other guys do play, because I think he can still get there. As well as they priced someone else wrong. JSURab. Like they priced JSURab 4K, and he even last year, like when the guys played, like he's solid. The dude is aggressive. I don't mind either of those two guys, even if the other guys play. And then if Kuminga doesn't play, I like those two even more. Mac McClung will be playing, but he won't be eligible on DraftKings because they still have him for LA. So
we know Kuminga and Moody's talents and the small forward eligibility on Kuminga. And I've already seen 2-3 guys that we really like, not including the Knicks already. I think we're going to be able to afford Kuminga. And I know you loved him coming in. I loved him coming in. And especially he balled out. He had a high point per minute in regular season basketball as like a 3rd or 4th option. Like he is going to be the main option. And he's going to put up ridiculous numbers. I just hope that he gets 30 minutes of run and make it worthwhile because 9.6 is a tall tag. And same with Moody. I mean, God, if he was small forward eligible, that'd be a lot better. He was small forward eligible in NBA slates regular season, so it
Exactly.
doesn't make a ton of sense. But I mean, those two guys are going to soak up a lot of usage. I mean, I like what you say about the other guys, but for me, I think I'm going to stick with those two studs on Golden State.
I agree. I would too. I think those other two guys that if you kind of want to do a game stack or if you want to kind of have those guys and say, okay, everyone else is planning for Kuminga Mui to play, but I have these guys in case they don't. Stuff like that.
So the Knicks side of the ball, you have to think who was doing the DK pricing. He put 6 Warriors more expensive than the Knicks, right? And then Miles McBride 6'3", which I mean, okay, that's a slight misprice. But then you go all the way down to Quentin Grimes at 4'5". This is a team that ran quickly and Toppin into the ground last year. They're two best summer league players. They're going to do the same with McBride and Grimes. Am I right, Kurt?
Exactly. I mean, you hit the nail on the coffin. Like, if you just go I mean, I know you don't have to do all pricing based on like fantasy points per game. Like, does the guy not look at McBride and think, you know what? If we're gonna make these foreign dudes 8, 9, like why don't we make McBride should be like 9 based off this pricing? He really should. I mean, but here we are, So
coming into the slate, I thought that Grimes and McBride would be like $9K a piece, and we're gonna get them for $10K combined. It doesn't make sense.
Don't have any issue playing them together. Do not this team ran 4 guards. Had no issue with playing both together at all.
And that's why it sucks that we don't have the small forward eligibility on one of them, because we're gonna fill 2 guard spots. At least I am. I'm playing both. Those are I'm gonna give my play of the day early. I know I'm gonna ask you this in the end, but it's called the McBride Grimes duo. It's the combo, man. I think playing them together is gonna be in the shipper. I really do. But speaking of other guys, do you see anyone else that you're looking at? I mean, the Knicks played a heavy minutes with a lot of guys last year. A third or even a fourth is more than in the cards.
So I'll have Quickly's going to talk in summer league terms here. Quickly's going to go. McBride's going to be Quickly. Grimes is going to be Grimes, and then Jeffries is going to be McBride. Those 3 Jeffries and those 3 guards are going to play so much, dude. So I definitely have interest in Jeffries. Farron Hunt, another guy. Mavs had good games with the Mavs. The 3s and the 4s here are kind of iffy. So I think Farron Hunt will get a very good run. Jericho Sims and Amir Sims will probably split time at the 5. They ran top into the ground. I can see them giving Jericho Sims a good look here. Have no issue with that. He almost made my first build, and then I was like, nah, switched it up. So Jericho Sims, Farron Hunt.
Jericho Sims, he dominated the glass when he was in last year. When Mitch Robinson missed some time, Jericho Sims stepped up. Him and Taj Gibson would and he eventually won the backup center spot from Taj Gibson. There's talent here. They just gave him a 3-year deal too. Mm-hmm. And we saw it last year. They're not afraid. It's not going to see Jericho Sims limited. The Knicks are going to play their guys. They're going to get developed. And he played almost 30 minutes a game last year, and he's definitely improved. He got a year of NBA weights under him and everything. Immense talent. Man, I like the Jeffries call. I hate that, oh man, we're mentioning everybody, but this is the best team on the slate for me. It really.
I'm talking from his perspective, I'm multi-entering. You're if you guys sub to Run Pure Sports, you'll get my cores, you'll get the guys who I like for single entry and stuff. But I'm talking this is a free show. We're giving out the guys who are in play. There's still a lot of guys who we're not we don't like, So sub to Run Pure Sports and you'll get the nuts.
100%. Denver Nuggets time. Your boy Christian Brown, and you call him Charles Braun.
Charles Braun, I call him my professor.
What do you think about him, man? He's 9'5". That's too high.
It's too much, man. I do think he'll get all the usage, but he's not going to hit the ceiling at that price. He just can't. If he hit 40, I don't think he's hurting me at that price compared to the other guys.
Yep. And the lucky thing is that he's small. He's forward eligible, small forward and power forward. So you got that going for you. Mm-hmm. And especially when we talked about small forward being a little bit weaker and guard being a little more strong and center included. So maybe you can make the case there, but I'm going to play Kuminga over him for sure, I think.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
Moving down the list, this is a team that has quite a few guys that I recognize. They got Big East legend, Colin Gillespie. And then kind of just moving down the list too, it's kind of a little bit of talent across the board, but no top tier talent really at all. I mean, is that kind of the case in your eyes too?
Yeah. So Teddy Allen's the min price, and the dude will chuck. So Colin Gillespie, Teddy Allen, and Adonis Arms, Texas Tech boy, Adonis Arms. do not play more than one of those guys, and do not put one of them in a main lineup. But if you're multi-entering, Teddy Allen, Chucks, Colin Gillespie can get the assist, and Arms can do a little bit of everything. Good defender, get some steals.
I will say this: do you think Teddy Allen starts?
I don't know who the hell starts for this Denver team, man. I think there's a chance. I think there's a good chance. I think there's a good chance because I don't know who the hell they're. I mean, because they can do Christian Brown at like the 3, and then do Colin, Teddy Allen, Christian Brown, bring Arms off the bench. I mean that seems like the most viable, correct?
It does seem the most viable, and that's where it opens the door. Like, we only mentioned Brown, right? But then you're looking at it. I mean, there's not a whole lot of guys who you can expect to just automatically start. And a guy like Teddy Allen starting at 4K with a forward eligibility is going to have to appeal. That's if he's starting. And I'm not a huge Teddy Allen fan. He screwed me in the NCAA tournament by fading him. But he is going to be a chucker, like you said. And so it's a team to definitely keep an eye on. You're going to have this game and one more to pivot from if maybe like a mid-price guy isn't starting. So it's not the end of the world, but obviously with it being the second to last game, it's going to have a little bit of risk.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a lot of options in price for the game. So if you want to do that route, then you're fine.
Love it. Love it. Minnesota Timberwolves, fresh off a trade. So this roster, who they have on their team and everything is going to look a little bit different. Like Walker Kessler's in the player pool. He's not on the team. Same with Leandro Balmero. And really, it's going to be a confusing team for me. What's your take on it?
So I'm trying to figure out who the hell will be the playmaker. Melvin Frazier, we've seen him for the Magic. Kevon Harris averaged 15, 5, and 3 in the G League. That's grasping straws. Mariel Shayok, we saw him, what he can do for the 76ers. So I think Frazier and Shayok will be my pool. But Terrell Brown is my sleeper. The guy from Washington can stuff the stat sheet. Talked about him in the preview show. I think he'll get a good opportunity here. He's 4K. That's why you can kind of have these pivots for 4K later in the round if you're ready to go. Love Terrell Brown tomorrow if he starts.
100%. And I like how you mentioned Frazier. There's a guy who's played in the NBA, had done his time, going to be that veteran almost in the summer league. He's going to be a calm head. You think the game's not too fast for him or anything. And then kind of looking more like I'm not going to have any interest in Moore or Spagnuolo or not even there's just not a whole lot of high end talent. And like you said, we're going to be looking more toward the bottom side. And we had a guy that you liked. Speaking of like a Teddy Allen pivot, David McCormick, you mentioned him leading up to the summer league preview, and he did really well. He had a foot injury last year. I mean, I remember Steve Boynton would always say something's holding him back. It's that foot issue that's kind of holding him back minutes wise and everything. Fully healthy David McCormick at 4K, potentially starting, and forward eligibility on both small forward and power forward. Sign me up as a pivot. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say he's a lock or anything, but man, I don't mind it. You have options here.
He seems like a summer league type of guy too, so don't have any issue with Big Dave. Love Big Dave.
You got anyone else to add here on the Timberwolves?
Not for the T-Wolves. We saw last year, Nathan Knight. Obviously, he wasn't a rookie, but we saw what they'll give their centers. If the guy gets in a rhythm like Knight did, they'll legit give him 35 minutes. So if Big Dave gets in a rhythm, he could be this year's Nathan Knight, even as a rookie.
Love it, love it, love it. Moving on to Phoenix, and we got a legend in the building, Louis King, a Summer League 2021 lock,
5K.
All 5 games.
He's 5K. DK will not price this dude above 5K in Summer League. They're like, yeah, can't do it. I love Louis King again. I'm pretty sure he made my first lineup.
So, speaking of more just weird mistakes by DK, Ish Wainwright, he was the small ball 4/small ball 5 at times for the Phoenix Suns, and he was given point guard, shooting guard eligibility. Someone up there is laughing, but man, you got King here, you got Wainwright. I think Wainwright, he's going to be a guy who not a whole lot of people expect anything from. And you want to talk about a true tournament play, a year of NBA under his body. He actually seemed like a decent player too. If the minutes are anywhere near the 30s, he dropped 46 in a game in Summer League last year. In the one game, he got above 28 minutes. So and there's opportunity here. Obviously, there's significant risk, and it's the last game. But I mean, I don't mind it for a tournament shout, and because I liked his game anyway in the regular season. But we also have other players too, who I'm sure I'll let you get to, like McKinley Wright and stuff. But it's an interesting roster.
Yeah, I just think it's hilarious how they'll price all these like rookies and these foreign guys are like 9K, and then we get Wainwright, who literally has a 50-point ceiling in summer league if he gets 30 minutes, and he's 7-7. He could be 9K. Like, I just, especially with this roster, it makes no sense. I digress. Lewis King, Ish Wainwright, love him. McKinley Wright, I'm sticking on it. I called it in the preview show. He's going to be one of my favorite plays of summer league. He didn't get much opportunity with the Timberwolves. I think now is his chance to do that, and they put him at 4. What is he? 4-3,
4-3, 4-5.
4-3. Oh, I can't see it because I'm pretty sure he made my main lineup.
4-4.
Yeah, he's 4-4. I mean, if he starts, the guy can literally get a double-double. I loved him at Colorado. I'm not going to turn back now. McKinley Wright interested. And then a deep GPP play, a very, very, very low floor but high ceiling. Ahmad Carver. I've got to see him up close and personal because he used to play for ODU. Played against Marshall a couple times a year. So no issue there. The dude can light it up. He can also get steals, block. He can get high steal upside for Carver, and he can score the rock.
I like it. A lot of people won't recognize that name at all. I certainly didn't, but there's not a whole lot of like depth on this team really. And there's a decent chance he could get some major burn. He'll be low owned. One more name I want to mention because I'm sure people will be flocking to the name because he was a DFS constant for a little bit of run here. Olivier Sarr, he's got a good ceiling. He's going to dominate the glass one in. He also showed a nice passing touch last year too. I kind of like him here at 4-5, especially, part of my center love. What's your thoughts on him?
Well, for sure. Yeah. I had him written down. I was kind of wanted to take, I know he was your boy, so I kind of wanted to let you do the whole Sarr pitch. We talked about him in the preview. I'm pretty sure
we did. Yep.
So kind of another cheap. I mean, pricing is nice. That's why I think tomorrow you want a multi-enter. I'm sorry, but if you have the funds, like summer league, you want a multi-enter. You're gonna have like at some point, if you play all 10 days, you're gonna have a guy who in your lineup the DMPs. So multi-enter.
I want to add this real quick because I know I've seen questions about in the chat. Hey, like, are we gonna have projections for summer league and stuff? Personally, when I've MME'd in the past on summer league, it's one of the more difficult things in the world. But the time to do it's probably the first few slates where things are more constant. But what I do is I craft my pool around like 5 guys at most on each team and give them a certain projection that I think is going to be fit. I know it sucks to manually do it, but it's one of those things where you kind of have to go game by game and make your own projections up and really limit the pool to like 5 guys at most on a team. Because, if you want to update the news, it's so much easier to update the news fast rather than updating like all 11 guys who will play. So I just want to throw that out there. I know we're not going to have much on the Lakers. We already have little data on them. Literally, I guess anything's literal, but we have data on them where they haven't played like a single player above 22 minutes. Like looking at the sheet, I would have loved Mason Jones, but he's coming off the bench and only 19 minutes of game time. Like unless he started, it's not really worth the risk. But at least at 4.8, he's kind of worth a stab in the dark if they gave these guys extended run. And Scottie Pippen Jr., when Xavier did really well in the NIT, Scottie Pippen Jr. was actually one of the guys who gave him a large fight in one of those games. So those are the 2 guards that I like. I have no interest in anyone else. I assume you're the same way. Take it from me. Max
Christie's 6'5", but with Mac McClung gone, Christie and Scottie might get above that 25-minute mark. Pippen's gonna have a gigantic game at one of these games in the summer league. So I'm gonna roster him every single day because he's gonna chuck, and he has not been making it so far. And he has like very frustrating games. Don't get me wrong, but man, even in college, Scottie Pippen has his good nut games, and it literally just propels you to the top. So I'm gonna play Pippen every day. Christie's 6'5", little expensive, but he's doing a bit of everything, which gives him a nice floor. So if you're randomly being a psychopath and playing summer league cash, Christie with McClung gone is not the worst option. This Bass guy's been shooting his ass off. Don't mind Bass. And then Cole Swider can also chuck. So if you want to do a little late night stack with the Lakers who run like platoon lineups, Bass and Swider.
Yeah, I want to mention real quick, in 20 minutes last game, Scottie Pippen had a 15, 1, 8, and 3. All right, that's good enough for 34 DK points. This dude's good. If he did get 28, 30 minutes, like, you're banking on it for tournaments, but we're not counting on it right now. Like if you're doing one lineup, like he 50-point burger, like you said, Kurt, right there. Like it's in the cards, and you don't want to completely eliminate someone just because the coaching staff has done something in the past. But for me, like personally, like It's going to be tough to click the name, but for Kurt, I'm sure that you're like, holy shit, give him 30 minutes and have a couple lines.
See, that guy's won me so much money in college that like I could afford to throw like I can put him in $3.20 max, $5 max. Like I'm not maxing main until probably showdowns or something, but like I have no issue like burning money if he does bad because he's won me so much in the past. Don't care.
Love it, love it. All right, Kurt. I already gave my plays of the day. It's the Knicks guard tandem. Give me your play of the day, and then we'll head out of here.
Put me on the spot. I'm going to go Tyshawn Alexander in the first game if he's starting. Give me a guy right out the gate. Give me Tyshawn 4K.
I love it. I love it. Good luck, everyone. Thanks for watching, and I appreciate it. Good luck in your contest, and run pure.
Boom.